Girls of Reddit, when did you see your first? How did you react to it? I saw flaccid ones on and off during childhood, and they weren't a big deal to me. I was 15 when my boyfriend flopped it out to show to me fully. Wow, it looked so full of energy, so alive, like a prancing horse. Mine was once the first a girl saw. We were very young, around 3, and our parents were great friends, and lived next door to each other in an apartment building. One day, while my mother was taking care of both of us, she had us in the bath, and stepped out for a few minutes. We were young enough that she had us both bathing naked together. After a few minutes, she came back in. Apparently, this was when I discovered my foreskin could slide backwards. I was having a great time playing with it, and my female friend in the tub with me was having her turn playing with it when my mom walked in. I then looked at my mother with a face of pure joy and said, "Mommy, did you know there was a second willy inside my first one?" I don't think she let us bathe together after that. You've retained this memory with disturbing accuracy. When I was halfway through 3rd grade, we got a new kid in our class. We all went out to the playground one day, and he decided to stand where everybody could see, and he started screaming. He stopped screaming after a minute or so, pulled down his pants, and just stood there with his hands on his hips. A bunch of teachers ran over and dragged him inside. I didn't see him again for a week. Alpha. I think I was about 7. John, a classmate, flopped it out during playtime. He was a freckled, ginger lad, and I believe my first reaction was disappointment that it wasn't freckled too. The first I saw involved in an act. Dad had left on the computer. I was about 12 or 13. I screamed, burst into tears, and ran downstairs for the comfort of hugging my mum. This was mainly because I can't believe my dad watches this, then oh my god, what's that fleshy stick? And in a fit of nervousness, when I saw my first boyfriends, I started giggling. I know. Sorry, Matt. Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up enjoying this video, consider subscribing with notification on. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. First time I saw one was when I was like 4 or 5. Some kid at school whipped it out and started shaking it around or helicoptering. I had no idea what it was at that age, so for a while I just thought the kid had a really weird out-tie belly button. Somehow, that is significantly more horrifying to me. The first I saw was Ian McKellen's in the stage production of King Lear. My reaction was something along the lines of awesome, now I can tell everyone I've seen Ian McKellen naked. The house I grew up in when I was really young had a huge bathtub in the master bathroom that my dad liked to soak in while reading books. We off with Fjord, doing what very young children tend to do. I burst into the room unannounced one day. This was a really long time ago, so I really can't remember the exact encounter, but it went something like this. Me, Daddy, what's that? I don't have that. Dad, startled but knowing it's too late for me to unsee it, just rolls with it rather than getting mad. That is a. I use it to pee. I have one because I'm a boy. Girls aren't supposed to have one. Me, oh okay. Shrug. Dad, go play with your toys. It's not nice to barge into the bathroom without knocking if the door is closed. Please knock first next time and ask to come in. That's about it. My parents weren't excessively prudish about that kind of stuff and answered questions when I had them. My dad and I also watched a lot of Discovery Channel together when I was young, you know, back when they had nature shows and anthropological documentaries and stuff. So between the naked tribespeople and the mating animals I figured a lot of things out at a young age. Edit, obligatory, my most upvoted comment ever is about my dad's. Thanks, Reddit. Actually, I should tell him how many internet points his has. He'll think it's hilarious. I had seen like Little Boy before, but the first time I saw a fully adult-like was in 9th grade. One of my very good guy friends was talking to me during social studies class, and all of a sudden got really tense, and kept making noises or asking me questions to keep me occupied. He would cough really loudly, show me a picture I'd already seen on his phone, or ask me what I was doing that weekend even though I'd already told him. It was getting kind of annoying, so I asked him what he was doing, and he leaned in and whispered, "Just don't look to your right." Don't. So, naturally, I did. And then I saw the kid in the row over from me had his out, and was using our textbook to measure it. When this kid saw that I'd seen his, he just started laughing and kept on measuring. I didn't know it then since I had no clue what was normal, but that kid had a huge. So I guess. Sometimes you need to measure it in the middle of a crowded social studies classroom? If you got it, flaunt it. Age 19, when I lost my virginity. I was too nervous to grab it, so when he guided my hand to it I blurted out, "Well, isn't that the darndest thing?" Edit, oh my god. I posted this like 9 hours ago. I come back, my first gold. Thank you so much for making my cringest moment awesome. I love stories of cringy first time. Said something stupid like this. My first kiss, she was 25, and I was 18. We had hung out a few times and she was waiting for me to make a move already. So eventually she just kissed me. First thing I could blurt out was, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that." Edit, obligatory holy, most karma ever is one of my most embarrassing stories of all time. Sounds about right. Also I wrote out "I don't know" for clarification purposes. I was making out with my boyfriend on his couch one time, and he started fumbling with his belt and unzipped his pants. He asked me for a BJ very nicely, but I was too scared to look down, so I stalled by saying I don't know how to. He just told me not to use my teeth, and then I just let Jesus take the wheel. My first girlfriend treated it like a hot potato. Curious, but as soon as she touched it she would jump back. She though it would ejaculate with the slightest touch. At that age she wasn't too far off. I hate it when I touch a hot potato and it ejaculates. Having a baby brother resulted in seeing my first, since my mom always let him run naked around the house, or was changing his diapers with us nearby. My sister and I called it a peanut for a long time because that's what it looked like to us. Edit, TIL there were other peanuts out there. First ever? My parents would wash me and my brother together in the bath. First ever? When I was 15. I was actually quite embarrassed in a way, as well as fascinated. Like, OMG, it's a real live. On a boy. OMG, I shouldn't be seeing this is weird. It's every girl I've ever dated. I saw my first on the internet like a civilized person. It was an individual in a corset and fishnet stockings. He finished on a black tray. The contrast was beautiful. I'll never forget it. My brother's was the first one I saw. I was almost 4, and he was a baby. I was watching my mum change his nappy, thinking, wow, what is that? When suddenly it turned into a piss hose and sprayed all over my mum. Hilarious, but I sure as kept my distance from it. Now that I had learned that boys had and girls had, I took great pleasure in walking up to a complete stranger and announcing, "You're a boy. You have a..." So the first time I saw someone's, I had walked in on my dad in the bathroom, immediately NOP'd out. It was barely a half second of exposure, so for a long time I actually was convinced the balls were the end of the standard drawing of? I thought the C end was connected to the body, the balls were hanging out at the end, and that's why you needed to get hard to have. Because it's hard to shove the balls in. And that's where the expression balls deep came from. My parents got divorced when my brother was really young, so he was the youngest and grew up with 2 older sisters and a mom. I guess my mom wanted him to be comfortable with his masculinity, because when he was about 3, he used to run around the house naked screaming power. The first time he did that was the first time I saw one. I don't remember what I thought about the itself, but the whole thing was always hilarious. At a small pool by a park, where a mother was changing her son. I was about 7. I yelled out, "OH, that's what it looks like." And my mom still holds it against me for embarrassing her in front of the other parents. My mom still holds it against me. Is the rest of the boys still attached to it? I was 14 and a man exposed himself to me on the beach. So I wasn't all that enthused about discovering the male form for a while after. The next time I did I was 17 and giving my first blowjob. I leaned too close to his crotch, and when I unbuttoned his jeans his cock sprang out and hit me in the face. I am not a graceful woman. It wasn't her first, but it was the first time my fiancée saw my uncircumcised. She said something to the effect of, "So that's what those look like. I've never seen one in the wild before." Like she was on some kind of safari. Not a girl, but relevant story. I remember the first time I got a hand job. I was 15 and my girlfriend at the time had been with me for about 6 to 9 months and well, she was in a poorer family and therefore didn't have internet. Not having internet meant she had never seen pictures of online. The only in her life had been her sister's friends' flaccid ones, her sister skinny dipped a lot. Well, eventually we got close enough and she was going to give me a hand job. It was one of the funniest things because when she was reaching for it, I accidentally flexed my Kegel muscles making my move toward her hand a bit. She absolutely freaked out saying it tried to bite me or some similarly silly things like that. It was just about the funniest encounter in my life. First was when I was on a co-ed swim team and I walked in on a guy changing and saw it. He screamed but weirdly enough he got a boner. It looked huge and scary to me. I was 12, then I always wondered how they got them into Speedos. I ignored a closed bathroom door when I was about 4 years old. Dad was there peeing. I'm not sure which of us was more embarrassed. That said, my mom is a lucky woman.